Let's just ask quickly before I go to Kevin. Francesca, just on that point, what crime did Trump commit?
It was financial crimes. It was white collar crimes. That is exactly what they charged him. He was convicted on.
What was the crime?
What's happening, everybody? Michael Knowles recently joined the panel on Piers Morgan Uncensored alongside the Queen of Wokeness, Francesca Fiorentini of the Young Turks. Michael Knowles and Francesca Fiorentini argue over the validity of Trump's 34 felony convictions in New York. That said, let's watch Michael Knowles laugh out loud at Francesca Fiorentini's stunning lack of knowledge about the facts of the case. Let's go.
Cool. Michael, look, I do think there's a ridiculous double standard here that will come back and bite the Democrats. For the reasons that Mark Garagos said about historically, you've seen this coming a mile off, where both parties starting to ratchet up this concept of kind of going after each other's leaders in criminal courts. I mean, you've seen this normally in banana republics, not in the United States of America. And it really does worry me as someone who loves America and loves Americans, what this is leading to. Because if all that happens in each term of office is one party trying to incarcerate the other's leader, I don't know where that leaves America in a few years' time.
Well, this will only come back to bite Democrats if they lose their grip on power, and obviously they don't think that they will. This is why President Biden the other day, when he was walking out of a press briefing, was asked, Mr. President, Donald Trump says that you are imprisoning him because he's your political rival. What do you say to that charge?
Well, I'll stop you there. We have the clip. Let's play the clip.
Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign?
I mean, you look like Jack Nicholson in The Shining at the end of that. But yeah, I mean, Michael, to pick up your point there, that's the clip you're referring to.
Yes, and it's pretty clear this is not a man who thinks that he has to be accountable to the American people. When you look at the federal charge against Trump, there was a poll that came out when that charge was brought that showed 62% of Americans think that it's primarily politically motivated. They just don't seem to care. And so this has been a ratcheting up, as we've all noted on the panel, of trends that have been built up for some years now. Some would say going back to Richard Nixon. But certainly in the early Trump campaign, the Democrats tried to stop him from being president by spying on him and cooking up fake intelligence, ironically enough, with Russia, and that didn't work. Then they tried to throw him out by impeaching him twice. That didn't work. Then they tried to kick him out by rigging the election and changing all the voter rules, in some cases in contravention of state constitutions leading up to that election. That did get him out of office, and he did leave office, but then he didn't go away. He kept running again. So then they indicted him 4 times. Now they've convicted him. They're going to threaten to throw him in prison. Pretty soon they're going to threaten to send him to St. Helena. But this has absolutely nothing to do with the law. As was noted earlier, at most you're talking about a misdemeanor that would have already expired under the statute of limitations.
Hey, if you like watching videos like these, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
I'm not even convinced that there was really a misdemeanor that Trump committed. So my fellow panelist here is celebrating that the rule of law has been vindicated and overturned 234 years of American legal tradition. I would challenge her to see if she could possibly articulate how and what crime Trump committed, because so far Alvin Bragg, the DA, has failed to do so. The judge in the case, Judge Merchan, has failed to do so. And they can't do it because Trump didn't commit any of the crimes for which he's been convicted.
Well, let's just ask quickly before I go to Kevin. Francesca, just on that point, what crime did Trump commit?
It was financial crimes. It was white collar crimes. That is exactly what they charged him. He was convicted on.
What was the crime?
It's New York State law.
I understand. What was the crime?
It is New.
Francesca,
I don't even like it. It is literally he just got convicted on 34 counts.
Francesca, what was the crime?
Of like cooking the actual books.
What was the crime?
You are not allowed. So you are not allowed to use your own financial, like your own money, to pay off somebody, and then he logged it as something different. He logged it as just a regular payment, but he was actually paying off this porn star to keep quiet, which, if he hadn't been running for president, would not have mattered, but he was, and so it impacted campaign finance laws in New York State. Okay, that is what Juan Merchan just oversaw this. Okay. Alvin Bragg brought these charges because Michael Cohen was already...
This is so great. She's on a talk show to talk about Donald Trump being convicted. So presumably, plenty of time to prepare But when she's asked what he did wrong, she doesn't know. Well, that's not true completely, in fairness to her. She did give an answer. He cooked the books. Now, I'm not an attorney, and she's really smart. So if any lawyers are watching, is cooking the books a legal term? Let me know in the comments. But I'm actually surprised that she wasn't prepared and didn't give us a concrete answer to the question, that would, essentially burn Michael Knowles and just completely shoot down any of his rebuttals. Because the times that I have seen her on the Young Turks, man, when it comes to telling us who's good and who's bad, who's racist and who's not, who's smart and who's dumb, she has all the answers and delivers information on that propaganda machine channel that she's on so articulately. So it's a real shock that, when asked a question like this, she doesn't have an answer. But the video's not over. I'm sure she does better.
She was already sentenced to 3 years to do it.
Let's just go before Kevin. I'll be very, very, very patient. I will come to you.
Look, I'm no expert. Let me just say, hang on.
No, Francesca,
you are no expert. That's right. The campaign finance law is a federal law.
Hang on,
Anyway.
Francesca. I want to go to Mark. You're the lawyer. Is anything Francesca just said, is that actually the crime?
Look, let me just say, I like Francesca a lot. And we probably agree on 80% of our worldviews. However, Francesca, the way you just described it, call me afterwards and I'll educate you, because that's not what happened. There was no theory that was given to the jurors. The jurors were told it could have been campaign finance, it could have been tax, it could have been false books. They were told they didn't have to specify, and specifically told they did not have to agree unanimously. That's what irks me. Lifelong Democrat, no fan of Trump, never voted for Trump, never will. But I will tell you, as somebody who has spent his entire career kind of taking on unpopular causes and holding the government accountable, I have to tell you, I do that for a reason. And the reason is this kind of shenanigans, and that's the best light I can spin it, in the criminal courts has no place in a federal election.
No, I agree.
The campaign finance laws were federal, not state, and the state laws had nothing to do with it.
I want to go to Kevin. Been waiting very patiently. Kevin, you are a very successful businessman, as Trump has obviously been.
One final quick clip from this panel. I just want to prepare you. Get ready to laugh very hard.
I don't mean to pick on Francesca too much here, but it's very telling that even the liberals who are going on television to defend this ruling have to Google in the breaks to figure out what the crime was. and even then, I'm sorry to say, misrepresent what the actual supposed crime was. The reason here that this has to take... Well, excuse me one second, Francesca. I'll just finish my point real quickly.
Books. That's the same thing.
Yeah. It's not a felony, not a crime, but anyway, that's a point for another time. The reason why even the great defenders of this conviction can't, yes, to you as well. The reason that they can't articulate this is because it's not really a crime. That's why they had to upend 234 years of precedent for this. And it gets back to a point that you made earlier, Piers, and that you made, Kevin, which is that Alvin Bragg really overplayed his hand. Sure, he overplayed his hand to some degree, but what else were they going to do? Donald Trump was always going to be the Republican nominee in 2024. A lot of people feel that he was gypped in 2020. He's the biggest guy in the party. It was going to happen. And Trump poses a real threat to the liberal establishment. He's not a Mitt Romney type Republican. He has different views from the so-called uniparty on things like trade, on things like immigration, and things like foreign policy and war. Trump posed a major threat. That's why they took such extraordinary measures for the last 8 years to take this guy out. They weren't able to do it politically. They weren't even really able to do it at the ballot box. So what's left? The only thing left to do is to try to throw him in prison so that he can't campaign for the election.
She had to Google in the break what his crime was. Oh, Francesca. Honey, that was rough. That was hard to watch. Yikes. Before I wrap up, I want to say something quick about what Mark Garagos had to say. I don't know a ton about Mark Garagos, but just based on what we watched there, I don't know anything else about him. But I'm about to say something that I'm certain you've never heard me say, nor did I ever think I would say. Based on what he said, this is a Democrat or a liberal I can rock with. Here's why. If he's willing to tell the truth on this subject when villain numero uno for the Democrats has just been convicted of 34 felonies, then at least I know, should I have a conversation with him, he's telling the truth, or at least what he genuinely believes, regardless of whether I agree or not. And no, I'm not just saying this because we agree on the topic they're talking about. I'm saying this because he's willing to go against the party line in favor of the truth. I admire that in anyone, and all of us can take notes here and remember our commitment to the truth. So I'll end with a question directed towards all of us, including myself. Are we going to tell the truth the next time that it's not politically expedient or advantageous? For myself and for the sake of what I say on here to you, I sure hope I do, and I'm grateful that I covered this clip because he is a great reminder of what I strive for, the truth. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching lefties make complete fools of themselves and have an entire panel laugh at them, then click on one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, I really, really appreciate you joining. The end.